Let me show you how to set up the project folder. For this, you can use any IDE that you like. I am using IntelliJ IDEA. What you need to do is go to main menu. You can create a new project. You can choose to create an empty project, or you can scroll down and select Flask to create a new project. You can give any name that you would like for this project, and in the environment type, I would suggest you to create a virtual environment. And if you click on create, it would create a folder structure similar to this. It would have a templates folder, a virtual environment folder, as well as an app.py. Um, Here I have provided you with requirements.txt. From here, you need to make sure that your project folder has the requirements.txt file. Once you have placed this file in this folder, you need to open the terminal and you have to activate your virtual environment. Here you can see it's denoted with VENV so that I know my virtual environment is activated. And now I need to paste this command pip install -r requirements.txt. This command will go through the requirements file, and line by line it will recursively install all of the dependencies. So if I click enter, since I already have the requirements installed, I don't have to install them again, but in your case the requirements would get installed. So in the next stage, I want you to set up your database in XAMPP. For the demonstration purpose, I have created a new database called Organic Market, and here I would create a new table called product, which will have one ID as a primary key, name, and then price as well as quantity. So I have added the SQL query to create the products table. If I execute this, the table has been created in this database. If I refresh the page, you can see the product table has been created. Coming back to the IntelliJ, now I want you to create a new file called app.py. So this would be our main Python code for our backend application. I have already created the application and I will go over it line by line, explaining how the project actually works in the backend. Okay, so I will start with the necessary import modules. You will have to import Flask since it is used to create the web application. Along with that, you are going to need requests module to handle the incoming API request. You need JSON file to format the responses as JSON, and you would need a render template module to use to serve the front end HTML page. And along with that, you are going to import MySQL.Connector. This will help you to connect your XAMPP database to the backend application. Now, on the next line, you are going to initialize the Flask app, and below that, you are going to configure the database. The app initializes the Flask application, and in the template folder, you are giving the location of the this templates folder here. Since it's in the root directory, you are just going to give the name. But if it's in the nested directory, you can add a forward slash and add the name of that particular folder. This is the folder where you are going to contain the index.html. That would be the front end of your application. Now, the database connection. is configured here in this part. You have to set up this host. The username is root for the XAMPP, and the password by default is empty. And here you have to uh, give the database that you are going to interact with. In my case, I am going to keep it organic market. Going to the next lines, let me minimize this. So I have created this function called getDBConnection. This function establishes a database connection, and it will connect to our organic market database. Then on the next part, you are going to configure the home route to serve our main HTML page. You have created this annotation called app.route, and here you have only given the forward slash. Below that, you are going to create a function, and I have given it name index, and it is going to render a template called index.html. Now this render template is set up here in the templates folder. So let me come back here. If I show you the folder directory, and inside the templates folder you have index.html, and this index.html is connected here. This is the front end code. Now let me run this application and show you how this default home route looks. I will go here and run the application. If you notice here, the server is running on this particular address. I will click here. As you can see, if we go to this address, we are redirected to this page. This page is rendered using our front end that is contained within the index.html, and this is our home address. So if I put a slash, this is where you would land. Okay, coming back to the application, I will now temporarily stop the server, and I will show you how the CRUD operations are implemented. First, I will talk about this create products function. So for that, I have created an app route called products, and the method is post. So for HTTP request, you may know that there are two methods. There is get and post. Um, so here, if you know, I have created the function name as add product. It what it does is it extracts name, price, and quantity from the incoming JSON data. You can see these variables are written here, and what it does is it executes this command to insert the data in the products table, and it will try to commit the transaction, and then we will, if the transaction is successful, we would return a message that product has been added successfully, and we will also return an HTTP status as 201 for successful transaction. One more thing I want you to be aware is that there is a specific structure for creating such functions, at least in this case. If you notice, in the post request, we are taking our JSON data as input, and after that, we are going to establish the connection with our database. As you remember, this get db connection function returns us with a new connection, and using that connection, we are going to create a cursor. This cursor navigates to the specific uh, table that you're interested in, and it executes the SQL queries on it. In our case, the cursor is, or rather, our connection is established on the organic market database, And on that, we are going to uh, execute this insert query. Once this query is executed on the database, it will uh, commit the changes. So if you don't execute this, your changes would be lost. So make sure that you are always committing to the changes that you have done. And after that, you want to close the connection. So make sure that for every for inside the every function, you are creating the connection, and once you have executed the queries that you would like, you would close the connection. Now moving back to the uh, next operation in CRUD, R stand for reads. So I will go through this one. So this function is set up to fetch the data from our database. It queries all the product from the database and returns them as SQL. Here as well, you can see it establishes the connection. Then we create a cursor object. After that, we execute the query called select star from products. And this cursor stores the result. And from that cursor, we are using the fetch all method. This would return us with all of the records that we have in our products table. And then we are going to close the connection, and in the return we are using JSON file, and inside that we are giving it the list of the products that we have received, and it would render it. The third operation in the CRUD is update operation. I have set up the update operation here with update product method. When we try to update a particular product, we want to have the ID of that product so that we can target only that particular product. So, whenever we make a request, make sure that the format is put for the HTTP method. And here, if you see in the products slash, we are expecting some kind of id, and this id would be given as a parameter. Now we would get this data in the request.json, we would establish the connection, and then we would perform the update operation. So we would update the product and set the name, price, quantity uh, for the product where the id matches with this parameterized id. After that, we would commit our changes and close the connection. And if everything is successful, we would send out a message that the product was updated successfully. And then the last operation in the CRUD is delete operation. This deletes a product from the database based on its ID. So the method for it is delete, and the product ID we would pass in the URL, and this function takes the ID as parameter, and we would execute the delete operation from here. The delete from products where ID matches this particular string provided by this parameter. If everything is correct, we would delete the product successfully. Now let me start the application again, and uh, I will demo how this works. Okay. Now I have come back to the web browser instance. Uh, I will try to add a new product here. Product name would be, let's say, tomato. I would set the price as 0.25, and I will add quantity as 50. Once I click the add product button, the changes would get reflected in the database. So here you can see that the product has been added to our database. Let me show you how this looks inside our database. So I'll click on the products. You can see that a new entry has been made in the database. So this is the create operation that has been performed. Now let me go back here. You can see that you are able to see the uh, list of products, right? So if I, let's say, add another product here called milk, and I set the price as 3.5, sorry, 3.5, and if I add quantity as 100, if I add this product, the changes are reflected in the database as well. And if I go to the localhost page, if I refresh this, you would see that we have created a new product and we have given it a new ID. Coming back to the backend, if you see the logs here, uh, when we added a new product, we had made a post request and the status was 201. And since our database was changed, we fetched the new product is with this get request. After that, we perform another post operation, and after that, we perform another get operation here. Uh, so let me show you how the HTML code was rendered. As you know that we are rendering our code using this index.html page. If I go here inside the templates folder, you can see the index.html file. Let me walk you through the basic structure of this file. Uh, the head section here, it's this is how you set up the HTML document, and I have given the title as product management. So whenever you open the new tab, that tab would have this product management as name. And inside body, uh, I have created a product input form, and this is just a header, and inside that I have created this input form. This calls add products function, and this takes three parameters. So I have one text box so that I can input a name, and this placeholder has a name called product name. And then I have two other fields, one for capturing the price as well as quantity, and the placeholder is uh, just the name on that particular text box. So if I go to the app, and if you see here, the values that we put in the box, name, price, and quantity, that would get used here. Now, uh, the next function is the product list display, and I have set up it as a list. So below that you have the JavaScript code that fetches as well as displays the product. The fetch product function, it makes a call to the products page, and it retrieves and displays all of the products to the API. So it hits this products page, and whatever responses it get, it just organizes them as a list. So it would print every product in the database one by one in list. And then you have this add product function. This sends user input to the products API via the post request, and it also refreshes the product list. And finally, we have the delete function. It expects an ID, so it deletes the requested product from our database. And the fetch product loads all the product when the page is open. And apart from this code, I have also created a README file. This file would give you all of the details from creating a demo database in the XAMPP, as well as the detailed explanation of the code in the backend, as well as the code explanation in the front end that is contained in the HTML file. Apart from that, you won't need anything. If you need anything, you can just uh, email me, and I think that's all. Thank you.